This is Eddie Gray with Garnish Music Production. Workflow tips number 2. We're going to start with something called strip silence. So what is that? When we're looking at an audio region, okay, something like this, you can see the transient hits and then there's dead sound. Well, there's a way to eliminate that sound so it doesn't affect your overall recording, your overall project in a negative way. So let me isolate this. I'll let you hear it. Okay, in some instances, you're going to want to kill that dead sound to create clarity for the rest of the project. So what you do is you hit Control X, and I'm only going to do it for this region here. Now you've got control over the threshold. Depending on how high or low you go, you can get the rest of that decay and sustain here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it right about there. Hit OK, and you'll notice that it creates all the edits for you. Obviously, that brings up another issue, and that's a potential click or pop at the end of a region. Well, we all know about batch fades. You can do them all at one time. Go here, create your fade, and you are all set. Take a listen. Okay, let's move on to note labels. And here it is right here. What you do is you go to the View menu in the piano roll and you click on note labels. Notice what that does to the actual MIDI regions. Now we have information that we can use. We know that this note is C4, this note is A4, D4, F4. You can input notes and have some more information to allow you to compose effectively. That one's called Note Labels. Let's move on to the Marquee and Fade click zone. In most cases, if you wanted to create a fade, you would have to go to the tool menu here and go to the fade tool, or you would have to go to the tool menu up here and find the fade tool here. Well, if you go to your preferences and you go to pointer tool in track provides, you can find here that there's something called fade tool click zones and marquee tool click zones. I've only got the fade tool click zone enabled simply because I like the workflow. So let me show you what that looks like. Rather than having to summon the fade tool, all I have to do now is bring my cursor to the top of an audio region and drag over. There's my fade. Why don't I like to use the marquee click zone is because, as you can see here, my secondary tool is always my marquee tool, since it's the jack of all trades and it does all sorts of stuff. So I highly recommend you use the fade tool click zone. It's going to help you. Start using it. If you didn't already know the repeat command, let me show it to you. It's fantastic. Rather than having to awkwardly hold Option and drag this all the way over, you now have this incredible tool. Now I've got my key command customized to Command D. So go into your key command window and choose what key command you want to use. By default, it's Command R. I find this workflow to work a little bit better for me. So when you select a region or regions, if you hit Command D, you can create copies very quickly. So very efficient workflow. Mind you, that also applies to MIDI notes. So if you just wanted to repeat a pattern, you could do so in an instant. Okay, let me close here by talking about select region on track selection. What is that? Well, if you go to the preferences, logic preferences, or command, comma, you can find a interesting feature here. Let's read these two. It says here, select regions on track selection. I've got that enabled. And then right below that, select tracks on region selection. So let's look at the behavior. If I select a region, for example, here, the voice pad, the track header is highlighted and selected, right? With the other option, if I select a track header, all of the regions associated with that track are also selected. That's my workflow. If I'm going to do something, I want to have control over it. And so this works for me, but play with both, see how the behavior changes your workflow, and see how it complements what you're doing. Well, thank you guys for watching another installment. Keep practicing, keep focusing, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.